And so who's got it more difficult? The skinny legends of the world or those bros who are morbidly obese? Coach Greg, in today's video, which is harder? If your goal is to put on muscle, is it easier if you start out skinny or if you start out fat? The exact opposites. That is the debate up for today.
Which one of these is really harder, and what are the pros and cons of looking to get into shape, starting out skinny versus starting out fat?
And so skinny versus fat, who has it harder?
If you go on a binge eating Ben & Jerry's every day, then you'll definitely gain some weight, but if you start taking the training and diet more seriously, you will definitely lose some.
And so in either case, it's actually going to be easy. I hate to break it to you, but it's actually easy. People who are very skinny, all they need to do is eat a little bit more. It's not a lot, a little bit more. For example, it takes approximately 2,700 calories to build 1 pound of muscle. It takes about 3,500 calories to build 1 pound of fat. And so let's say you want to add, about 15 pounds of muscle in a year. That's a lot of muscle. If you were to up your calories by approximately 100 calories per day, that would be enough calories in a surplus in order to put on 15 pounds of muscle in a year. And does that sound really hard? If Jack ate in 100-calorie surplus, trained harder than last time in the gym, and if he had great genetics to put on muscle, he could put on 15 pounds of muscle in a year. Problem is, most guys who are skinny, the majority of them are nearly pure ectomorphs, and these individuals have a very hard time putting on muscle. And why is that? It's genetics. Your ability to put on muscle is ultimately determined by your genetics. If you had a random sample of 100 people, somebody out of those 100 has to have the worst possible genetics to putting on muscle, and somebody has to have the best. They all do an amazing training program, coached by Coach Greg, whoever. One person's going to come out on top. They just look at the weights, it seems, and they put on muscle. The other person, they really struggle. And for the most part, the ones who really struggle, they're the ones who start off very skinny. They're taller, skinnier. They're oftentimes referred to as being ectomorphs. And you can debate me in the comments all you want. There's no such thing as an ectomorph. Listen, it's just a group classification. It's like saying if you're 5'6" that you're short. Shorter people have a harder time playing basketball. Oh, but there's Spud Webb. This guy made it in the NBA. Yeah, but for the most part, shorter people have a hard time playing basketball because the rim is so tall. I label that person as tall. Oh, there's no such thing as labels. It's 2024. Shut up. And so does anyone out there think it would be all that difficult for all those hard-gaining ectomorph people who are ultra skinny to eat, a tablespoon of peanut butter, a half of a Seco protein bar, couple teaspoons of butter, tablespoon of oil per day added to your diet right now. That's all that it takes. And so we now know that it's easy that these people who are skinny don't have to force feed. Oh my goodness, they're going to have to add at least 1,000 calories a day to their diet. It's going to be so uncomfortable. They're going to have to eat 10 meals a day. 100 calories a day added to your diet can build you 15 pounds of muscle in a year. It's not that hard. It's about being consistent and going to the gym and training harder than last time. Now, the problem most likely are the expectations. I saw it on a diagram once. It says that the first year of training, you should be able to put on at least 20 pounds of muscle. And so when they don't put on 5 pounds in the first month, they think, oh, it's not working.
Personally, I started out very skinny, but I don't have any trouble gaining weight or losing it because of how I manage my body, training, and diet.
Now, people who are obese, on the other hand, endomorphs typically have an easy time putting on both fat, that's why they're fat, and muscle. And so when they go to the gym and they go on their weight loss journey, all they have to do is lose the weight, and they have the advantage of having more muscle. And so let's take somebody who's 100 pounds overweight. Let's give them 2 years to get that physique that they dreamed of. In 2 years, they need to lose 100 pounds. It's about 1 pound per week. To do that, they only need to be in a daily deficit of 500 calories for 2 years, and they're going to lose all of that fat. And so they can get it from doing cardio. They can do that from changing their diet. There's many ways to lose body fat. And considering the fact that they started with more muscle than the person who was skinny, the end result, they're going to have a ton of muscle. The person who is skinny, on the other hand, they might put on in 2 years, let's call it 15 pounds of muscle. The person who's obese likely started with 15, possibly even more pounds of muscle than the person who's skinny. And so the person who's skinny now, after 2 years of training, has the same amount of muscle as the person who is fat. Now, the advantage of the person who's skinny is they're shredded the entire time. any amount of muscle that they gain, it's going to be very much visible. Think of it. They started out at perhaps 130 pounds. They add 5 pounds of muscle. When you go from 130 to 135, if you're at perhaps 10% body fat, it's going to be very significant. You're going to notice that. But if you start off at 250 pounds and add on 5 pounds of muscle, and you go to 255, the body fat is going to cover it. And so the person who's overweight, they need to lose body fat in order to see that muscle. But if you fast forward 2 years and you show the before and after transformation, which do you think is going to be more amazing? In this example from Back Guy, they use Brentley. Brentley's lost approximately 250 pounds. When you look at his before and after transformation, it's amazing. Wow, shocking. I can't believe he changed that much. But Jack, on the other hand, in 2.5 years, no matter how much muscle he puts on, let's call it 15 pounds. Do you really think you're going to be shocked in awe? Wow, that physique, it just went from that to that. I can't believe it. But remember, there are people who suffer from both. They're both skinny and fat at the same time. Now, these individuals, that is the true nightmare. They have the genetics of the skinny individual, the ectomorph, but they simply eat way more calories than they should. They don't give two shits about their health. They're perhaps force-feeding junk food, candies, playing video games all day. And so they are both skinny and fat at the same time. And what do I mean by that? They hardly have any muscle. And they have a lot of body fat. The worst of both worlds, so to speak. Now, thankfully, we know that it's approximately 10 times easier to burn body fat than it is to build muscle. And so, for example, it would take approximately the same amount of time for somebody to burn off 50 pounds of fat as it would for that person to add 5 pounds of muscle. 10-to-1 ratio. And so when you're overweight, the week-to-week differences, the changes that you make, they're going to be highly noticeable. In comparison, if you're putting on muscle, you will hardly notice any changes whatsoever, even when looking from month to month. And so the good news for anyone who's skinny, fat, or obese, you're going to notice changes far faster than those who are skinny.
Take an average guy. Now, first of all, this guy will have little to no muscle mass to speak of. This means you'll have a low base metabolism, aka how many calories you burn at rest.
I would argue that they have a fast metabolism. If you're very tall and very skinny, why is it that you think you're so skinny? Could it not be because you have a fast metabolism? The faster your metabolism, the more calories you're going to burn off. Also, the more difficult it is to put on muscle. And so the reason you're so tall and so thin, oftentimes because you have a fast metabolism, not a slow one. And to the opposite extent, if you have a slow metabolism, won't that encourage your body to become fatter? You burn fewer calories for whatever reason. God didn't like you the same as they liked someone else. For perhaps the same reason that Mike Israetel wasn't blessed with very dark skin, which caused him to not win his IPB Pro card. You might be very intelligent like Mike Israetel, but you just don't have the pigmentation in your skin to win an IPB Pro card. And nothing you can do about that.
You'll also, generally speaking, be more agile, have better cardiovascular health than somebody who is obese, and you'll feel more energetic considering you don't have to move any excess body fat around.
And so as you can see, being skinny, there are a lot of health benefits. Essentially, you're a healthier person. Sorry, if you're obese, you're not as healthy as someone who is skinny on average.
Now take the approach of somebody starting out as obese. Let's say we have a guy around the same height, but now he weighs twice as much as our original chap.
And so the guy who starts out at double the weight of the skinny legend, that guy, guess what? He's probably lazy. He probably doesn't exercise. He probably eats like shit. And sorry to break it to you, but that's what most people think. And many of you are going to say, no, just because he's double the weight that he should be, doesn't mean he's not very active, that he's healthy, that he's eating great, that he's active. Yes, it does. If he was doing all the things he should be doing, his body wouldn't look the way it shouldn't be looking. Does that make sense?
And suddenly we have a BMI of 37, putting our Mr. Dude here into serious obesity.
And so here's the thing. Do you know how easy it is to lose weight when your BMI is 37? When you don't give two fucks about your health? When you just go out into the world and hardly explore it whatsoever? You eat whatever you want. Whenever you want, as much of it as you want. How do you think these people get to this kind of size? Do you think that people grow to being 400, 500, or 600 pounds just by accident? They slipped? They had one too many cookies for dessert? I don't think so. They're eating a lot. And so imagine how easy it is when I say, here's the freaking cookbook. and change one of your meals and have something from the book. Automatically they lose weight. Why? Because it's lowering calories. All you have to do is consume fewer calories. Now, if they go and exercise on top of this, for example, go for 30-minute walks, 150 minutes of cardio a week, they're going to lose weight like that. Every week they're losing a pound or two. It's easy. And in comparison, that skinny legend, 132 pounds. The skinny legend goes to the gym and trains for 5 months straight, weighs themselves, and now they're 134. And I'm thinking, great job. You put on 2 pounds of muscle in 5 months. And they look at me and they're thinking, bro, I put on 2 pounds of muscle. It's been 5 months. I'm like, what did you expect? Well, this guy gained 20 pounds in a year. Yeah, that person's on steroids. Well, that person gained 30 pounds a year. Also on steroids. That person gained 15. Also on steroids. And so people's expectations when they see before and after transformations, of which they only show the top 1% of the top 1%, is that they have expectations to gain tons of muscle when it's in fact very hard.
This guy will likely have much more muscle mass and be able to lift a lot more in the beginning. Although to get his desired look, he will have to lose a ton of weight while gaining muscle, which is generally speaking a pretty difficult task.
I don't remember coaching anyone in my life that wasn't able to do so. Newbie gains coupled with a brand new diet doing a little bit of cardio, the gains go through the roof.
This guy will also have a much higher base metabolic rate, meaning he can lose weight while still probably eating more than his skinny counterpart.
Yes, he's actually right. Typically, people who are overweight, they have a faster overall metabolism because they, in fact, weigh a lot more.
However, he will have to lower his calorie intake from what he's used to eating, which can come with cravings and feeling very hungry at times.
It's not actually true. Think of it. To get to that weight, they're perhaps eating 4,000 calories a day. Now they have to eat 3,500 calories a day. It's still a lot of food. In comparison, those of you who are skinny, perhaps they're only eating 2,000 calories a day. And what do they have to do? They have to eat 2,100 calories a day. Both are easy. Do you see how both are easy? The person who's eating 3,500 calories a day, they don't have to suffer. They just have to slowly lower their calorie intake. It's not about cutting their calories in half. I mean, if you told me that to lose half of their body weight in a year, well, yeah, it's going to be hard. But remember, progressive overload. Take your time.
On the left here, we have Jack's Fit, who has tried for well over a year to gain size. And on the right, you have YouTuber Brantley G. Now, both of these guys started out on the extreme opposite ends of being out of shape.
And we're now comparing Jack to Brantley G. Who's having it more difficult? But remember, Brantley started at 573 pounds. At the start of the video, he said 100 pounds overweight. But Brantley was closer to 400 pounds overweight than simply 100.
But Brantley has lost close to 250 pounds over a 3-year period, while Jack has been pretty stagnant for the last 6 months or more.
Well, for one reason, because it's easier. It's easier for Brantley G to make significant changes in physique, aka losing 250 pounds, than Jack getting jacked. If you know what I'm saying.
Not only do I think Brantley is more dedicated to improving himself than Jack is, at least based on their social media, but Brantley also worked alongside a coach.
Obviously, it's going to be easy for Brantley. Not only is he more dedicated, does he try harder, does he care more, he also had Coach Greg helping him in the corner.
So for the past week now, I've kind of been quite sick, meaning I've not been eating, I've kind of been losing my gains, and I've been losing weight.
And so rather than eating, he's not eating. It would be like Brantley not losing weight and saying, rather than doing cardio, rather than eating in a calorie deficit, I've just decided to eat whatever I want.
Work ethic is definitely something to keep in mind, although it is very difficult to come up with a conclusion based on how people look, because work ethic and drive to succeed is widely individual.
I'm going to disagree with that. You can kind of see the person's work ethic by their physique. If somebody is 500 pounds, for example, and continues to weigh 500 pounds year after year, I can conclude they don't give two shits about their health. They have zero work ethic. They're not putting in the work. They're not doing their cardio, training in the gym, nor are they putting the fork down. You can see it. And to the opposite extent, you can see the dedication. When you see Brantley G every month, every year, losing all that weight, you know he's putting in the work. And you can respect that.
Articles like this one, published in 2020, found that for every 5 points you jump on the BMI scale above overweight, your probability of being depressed is around 29% higher on average.
And so people who are morbidly obese, as they begin to lose that body fat, they get happier. And I wonder why. Wouldn't you be happier? But if you're of a normal body weight and you start getting obese, you start eating everything in the world, you lose your physique, you gain 100 pounds, you're going to get more and more depressed. Does that not make sense?
But being obese definitely extends the list of factors which can make it harder to get started in the gym or get on a diet and even to feel good in your own skin.
But remember, if you're obese, you don't even need to get started in the gym. Brantley G, for example, when he started, could hardly go for a walk to the ball. He had to stop and rest and hold himself. Remember, he was 574 pounds. But even if you don't start exercising, if all you do is change your diet, if you get my frigging cookbook, if all you do is that, you're going to lose weight. Imagine you're drinking 2 liters of pop a day. You switch to diet pop. Do you not think that's going to make a difference? Do you not think you're going to then be in a calorie deficit, which is the reason why your body loses weight? And so if you want to make a difference, if you want to make changes, it starts now. All you have to do is eat less. Going to the gym, obviously I want you to do that, but if you just start eating fewer calories, you're well on your way to losing weight.
So in actuality, I think we can assume that losing weight is generally gonna be tougher for most people.
And so no, I don't think we can just assume that in general, losing weight is going to be more difficult for more people, as he states, in comparison to skinny people putting on more muscle. I've already stated it's 10 times easier to lose body fat than it is to build muscle. And so by definition, it's easier for people to lose weight than it is for people to gain muscle.
But that the individual differences between people makes that unreliable. Someone could just as easily say, hey, I struggle to gain weight, or I struggle to lose weight.
Yeah, some people are going to say, but I struggle more to gain weight. Yes, there are individual differences, but those are usually determined by your genetics. And not only that, by your desire, your how bad do you want itness. Is there a how bad do you want it term that's out there? You just don't want it bad enough. Because if I switched my brain with any fat person in the world, pick one, and we switch brains, I could lose weight. I know I could lose weight. And why is that? Because to lose weight, you need to be in a calorie deficit. And so if that person can move, I would move. If that person can't move, I would switch up my diet. I would change what I'm eating. And so everyone out there, there's hope for you. If you're 100 pounds overweight, perhaps 200 pounds, perhaps 500 pounds, or maybe you're only 10 pounds overweight, if you want it bad enough, you too can lose weight.
Skinny to muscular is harder, or fat to muscular is harder. Don't compare yourself to another person. I never understood this debate.
Exactly. And remember, never compare yourself to other people. Comparison is in fact the thief of joy. Whether it's with your body weight or how much money you're making. For example, Alex Hormozi, bro was making $1.5 million a year, but he wasn't happy. And why?
And I was taking home, $1.5 million a month in income. And I thought I was hot shit. And here comes a girl who's 8 years younger than me, and she's a billionaire. And I was like, what?
Kirk!
It actually ruined my week.
Comparison is the thief of joy. This is a perfect example of somebody that should be happy, but who actually isn't. Has to lie about the drugs that he's taken. Remember, this guy has put on a ton of muscle. Remember when he put on 36 pounds of muscle in a matter of weeks? Not years, but weeks.
But a person that's big, they're going to have to do a lot of cardio. They're going to have to cut the amount of calories they can eat together, and it's going to be very, very stressful on their mind.
I don't think it has to be like that. If you want it bad enough, it's going to be fun. I love going to the gym. I love lifting weights. I love eating healthy. I love doing cardio. I love all of it. I love reading books. I love learning. I love studying. I love challenging tasks that I believe that I can overcome. And so take on challenges that you think you can overcome. If you have 100 pounds to lose weight, your goal should be to lose 50. Don't think I need to be the next cover of magazine. I need to have 1 million followers. I need to win a professional bodybuilding competition. But have a goal to lose half the weight. Everyone can do that. And so if you take on realistic challenges that you can overcome, it's going to make your life that much happier. You're thinking, no, I'm going to suffer because I'm not going to be able to eat what I want. I'm going to have to go to the gym. I'm going to have to do cardio. I'm going to have to put the fork down. Those are all fulfilling challenges. Challenges that you know that you can overcome, and it'll make you feel good about yourself. And so why not take on the challenge? And I was doing some calculations last night, and I realized that I'm doing over an hour of cardio almost every single day. And do you know how much it's improving my performance? On average by 0.01%. 0.01%. And so what does that mean? It means that I have to train for 100 days. 100 days, I'm doing cardio harder than last time. I'm going for longer rides, shorter rides, intervals, sprints, and so on to get 1% faster. If I get 1% faster every 100 days, it's 3.6% in a year. And that makes me happy. And you are all upset because you only lost 1% body fat in a week. Get real, guys. And so show me, how bad do you want it? Because if we switched bodies, if I was in your body, you would be fit and in shape. And if you were in mine, well, I turn into a bag of milk. And so get your freaking ass to the gym. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm, like this video if you liked it. Don't forget to watch one of those 2 bloops. And of course, the cookbooks, the Circle Diet Book, coaching plans by me and my team, the Hard and Last Time clothing line. If you have no money, get the free diet and training program. It's free. Get to the website. And until next time, I am out.